Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cosmic Waves Tarot. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I really appreciate your time and your energy. I love spending time with all of you, so thank you for being here. Today, I'm going to do a collective reading, so it is applicable to everyone, no matter when you find it. And I thought I would do a reading for some insight, some advice about your creative project. So whatever you have going on, whether you're an artist, an author, a musician, maybe something less, traditionally artistic, but still a creative project of sorts, it is applicable to you if you feel that you have a creative project you have been working on. So now I am shuffling and asking the tarot for some insight and some advice for our creative projects. Do one more shuffle here and we'll see what comes up. We have the Two of Swords, the Three of Swords, and the Knight of Swords. So as you can tell just visually, this is definitely a mixed bag, I would say. We have 3 swords cards, which swords in the tarot correspond to the mind, to logic, to thinking, your analytical brain. And so when I see 3 swords come up, I can tell that this project has been taking up a ton of mental space, mental energy. You've been devoting a ton of time and thought to it, and just a lot of analyzing the situation. Is it going to work out? How is it going to go? Does this make sense? And just spending a ton of effort in your mind thinking this project through. So let's start with the first card, the Two of Swords. As you can see, this figure is sat with 2 swords in her hand and she's blindfolded. There is a moon and she's surrounded by water. So when the Two of Swords comes up, I think about it as a mini moon card because we do in fact have that imagery of the moon up here. The 2 represents a difficulty making a decision. There's somewhat of a mental block, it looks like. So this woman could just put down her swords and take off her blindfold and get up from her seat, but she's clearly struggling to do that. It looks like she's a bit trapped and she doesn't quite know what to do. So when this card comes up in the context of a creative project, it looks like you've been having some mental blocks and maybe some difficulty deciding what your next step is, and that's really driven by your logical brain. Not as much your emotions or your passion, but it looks like you've really been thinking what makes sense on paper, maybe what makes sense financially, what is the best career move, something like that. That's just a really mental decision. But it looks like there's been some stagnation here, a little bit of difficulty moving through that. We also have the Three of Swords, which is a card that is admittedly difficult. It looks like this creative project, even though it's something you love, has been putting some stress on you. As you can see, there are 3 swords piercing this heart. There's rain pelting down from these heavy clouds. The background is gray. It looks pretty grim, to be honest. So when this card comes up, there's something that's plaguing you, something that's really kind of bogging your mind down, making it really difficult to move forward. So if that is a situation for you, I totally understand why you may have felt some frustration, or just maybe even considering abandoning this project. Is it even worth it? What is next for me? It just feels so heavy. So I can definitely see that in this card, and especially when combined with this Two of Swords as well. It looks like it has been a bit tricky. When this card comes up, it's just about some hardship, some difficulty. But these are minor arcana cards. They're not major arcana, so they're not the overall theme of your life at this moment. It's definitely not the easiest energy to deal with, but it's also not the absolute heaviest. We don't have a tower or the moon or anything like that. It is difficult, but it's not as major as the major arcana. Finally, we have the Knight of Swords, and this energy is totally different than the 3 and 2 of Swords. Whereas these two cards represent some stagnation, maybe a lack of progress, the Knight is all about flying into action. You can tell he's moving very, very fast, even a little bit out of control here. He's just leaning forward, urging his horse on as he's flying through, and he doesn't seem to care exactly about the consequences or how he's going to land. He's just moving forward. Knights in the tarot represent bravery and valor and energy. They can be about a situation or a person, depending on how this reading lands for you. So maybe you are the knight and you just are trying at any cost to move forward past this energy of the 3 and 2, and you're just throwing everything at the wall, saying, I'm just going to keep persevering, I'm going to keep trying and keep moving. Maybe this is some other influence on your creative project, so maybe there is someone else who's urging you along, or maybe there's some sort of deadline or situation that you feel is making you move faster than perhaps you wish. So I do find it very interesting just how different these energies are, but the fact that they are all swords cards, again, means you may feel some pressure to move quickly, but you're still struggling with some sort of stagnation, some sort of difficulty, maybe a lack of clarity as to how to move forward. Again, since we don't see any pentacles, cups, any major arcana, wands, it looks like those other areas of your life are not as major of a theme with this project, but perhaps that is what is missing. So I'm going to take one more card and see if we can get some clarity on some advice for how to move forward. So I'm just going to shuffle right on top here. And we have Justice. Again, there's another sword in this picture, but it is a major arcana card and does give us some more insight as to how to proceed. Justice is a card all about consequences and, of course, justice. So it asks you to keep in mind that whatever action you have has consequences, whether those are positive or negative. This person is holding the scales of justice, so you have this sense traditionally that what is on one end has to be balanced against the other end. As I said, they're also holding a sword, which shows that any attempts at justice do have to be carried out with some real consequence. This isn't just empty words that don't mean anything. There is a real consequence if you do not follow justice's orders. So as I said, when this card comes up, it really asks you to think about your motives, whether you're acting fairly, whether you're acting justly, if you're doing right by everyone or not. If you are acting properly and conducting yourself honorably, then justice should be a welcome sign. It will tell us that your efforts and your positive actions will be rewarded with good karma and good outcomes. However, if you've been kind of cheating people or misleading people, maybe using them, then justice arrives to remind you that those consequences will arrive as well. So if you need to recalibrate your actions, justice will help you do that. If you feel that you don't have to recalibrate your actions and you've been on the right path, then justice confirms that good things will return to you. It can take a bit of time, but it ultimately all comes back around, and you can be sure that justice will be there as an ally to help you. Justice is also interesting because it is a card about other people and your dealings with other individuals, whereas all the Swords cards are a little bit more about your own mind, what's going on internally. So I think it's good that we have some clarity here about how you are acting with respect to other people. So that concludes this reading. Again, I'm sorry if you're going through some tough times working on your creative project, but whatever you're putting into it, you will get out of it. And that is the most important thing, is to do it out of love, out of passion, out of real excitement, and not for the wrong ends. And if you're doing that, you will have success. So I'm cheering all of you on. I hope all of your projects do turn around and you start breaking out of this energy. And I can't wait to see what everyone has in store. So thank you again for enjoying this reading with me. I hope it was helpful, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day.